One of the biggest tricks of the devil, one of the biggest tricks that he uses against us is to convince us that we are powerless.
What's up, y'all? This is Shalise on Purpose. I am walking y'all through my journey and my life, my journey towards my purpose. God placed every one of us here for a reason, and it is literally our only job on earth is to walk in the purpose that He put us here in, but most of us miss the mark.
So I am here to inspire other women, especially Black women, women of color, to get past your past and walk in your purpose. The biggest way that I've noticed thus far through my own life experience is the way that the devil tries to throw us off our mark, throw us off of our purpose, is to convince us that we have no power. He does not take our power away. He convinces us that we have no power, and he does that through trauma, such as, your family history, violence, neglect, abuse, um, sexual assault, racism, slavery, poverty, things of that nature, things that literally are not of God. I want to talk about how lately I have been regaining my power and really starting to understand from a this is my right as a person created by God perspective. I remember thinking about a couple years ago, I was in a women's shelter, and I remember thinking, oh, the devil wants to make me think I don't have a choice. He wants to take away my power. He wants to make me think I don't have a choice. And I actually forgot that I had like said this because I have a lot of you know sessions and moments where I just talk to myself, and I'll just like work out, like I'll be critically thinking out loud. I'll work out what's going on, and I'll analyze myself. Um, and I analyze other people too, right? But I do this all the time, and it's like it's crazy that I haven't just turned the camera on and just recorded myself doing this because I do it all the time. Um, and also, it's crazy to think that I actually thought that it's crazy that I ignored the fact that I should be a therapist. Um, that's one of that's one of the things that I'm meant to do is be a therapist and a life coach. Um, but the way I was trying to do it before, it just wasn't gonna work. Um, but anyways, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but it's just crazy that the way I analyze things and everything like that, you would think that it would be so obvious to me that I would want to be a therapist because I can tell how people are feeling. I empathize heavily and I be wanting to help people. And I do try to help people at work, like wherever I'm at. I like to listen to people's problems and try to help them. Um, so it's insane. But anyways, this is besides the point. So what was I saying? Yeah. So lately, I've been basically, starting to understand. It's one thing to understand that oh, yeah, the devil's trying to take away my choice, or the experiences I've had has made me feel like powerless, like a victim. It's one thing to start to understand that, but when it's another thing to actually believe that you can regain your power and that it's okay, and for the guilt associated with standing up for yourself and having a choice starts to melt away. It's like the more you practice sitting in the power of choice and the power that you do have, the more you do that, the less you feel guilty and you realize that it was um the more you realize that feeling guilty for doing what's best for yourself is a trick, and is like it comes from an experience, whether somebody directly took away your choice or told you that you didn't have a choice or just treated you like you didn't, whatever. It comes from an experience you have had that re that that made you think that, and then another experience that reinforced, in fact, yeah, you actually don't have a choice, and then you just believe it. It's a lie. And a lot of the things that we um do to limit ourselves, and or do to limit ourselves, aka believe that we don't have a choice in the matter, are all rooted in lies, because um, God is the pillar of truth. Like, God is the truth. His word is the truth. And God tells us, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Um, the Holy Spirit gives us power. There's a lot of scriptures. Those are the two that's coming into my head at the moment. But he tells us that we have power, meaning we have a choice. He literally allowed Eve and Adam to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, knowing what would happen, because he did not take away their choice. We may not have a right to do all the things that we do, because if we did have a right to do everything we do, then there would be no sin, right? But we have the choice, right? Which means we have power because we have a choice in matters. Let me tell you what. So before I get off, before I get off on like a philosophical tangent or like a all of that, let me hone this back in on my life currently and what made me really understand this from a life experience level, right? Because it's one thing to have knowledge, it's another thing to apply the knowledge. When you apply the knowledge, that is called wisdom, right? Applied knowledge, wisdom is applied knowledge. So, hmm, let's see. I want to say it without telling my business. So, how can I do this? Because look, I can't be telling all my business, because the fact of the matter is, I don't know who's gonna see it. It's not about strangers seeing it. It's about people that I know. Okay. Um. Okay. So I'll just use examples of things that actually have not happened in my life, and I'm not making this up to say, oh, hypothetically, when it's true. No, like, for real, I'm going to use examples of things that I have not actually experienced, or use celebrities or something for an example. Okay. So, I watched the Royce Reed interview that she did with Cam Newton, right? And she talked about, dealing with Dwight Howard and all that stuff. Now, if you have not seen the interview, then uh, I'm not going to go into too much detail. So, one of the things that she was saying was, she's dealt with him for years. He's taken her to court, and she would just comply, comply, comply with him, because she was hoping it would just all go away. Like, she just kept saying that was the theme of dealing with him. And I've experienced that in my life, where you just you lay down for somebody, you comply with them, you go along with what they say because you're afraid of them, and you just do what they want you to do, hoping that that'll make them leave you alone. So it's like, first of all, being afraid of somebody, what I realized is I've been experiencing this change, a rewiring of my brain, so to speak, when it comes to my power of choice. Nobody can take away your power. The enemy wants you to think that you don't have power, that he can take away your power, that you're hopeless, and that you don't have a choice in the matter. Nobody can make you do a thing. Now, don't take it as like, don't be out here disobeying the law. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's no one who can make you do anything. This is how I came to this conclusion 2 years ago, but I was not emotionally ready to actually live my life upon the principle. So I had understood the principle, but I did not live the principle. So meaning I had knowledge of something, but I didn't have the wisdom of it. So, you always have a choice. Um, so I got this idea from, dealing with narcissists and manipulators from growing up in my family, from dating them, right? Their main goal is a manipulator just tries to take away your choice. They try to make you think that you don't have power, that they are the ones in control, that they're the ones in power and you are stuck, right? So that's not true. You always have a choice. And so, back to the example, because I get really passionate when I talk and I start going off on tangents. So one thing about me is I will forget what I was saying. Okay, like, but I just so much information comes into my head that I can't always keep up with every last bit. So let me just get back to the Royce Reed example from the Cam Newton interview that she did about dealing with dealing with that man. So I just had his name and I forgot. Dwight Howard. So she was saying, she just felt like he just wouldn't leave her alone and he just ruined her life and he took everything away from her. And I used to feel like that. And then I even got to a point of, oh, I allowed this, I allowed that. But it wasn't until recently that I'm like, no, you don't have to be afraid of anybody. That was the point of me bringing that stuff up. You don't have to fear anybody. She was afraid of him. For what? The only way you can be afraid of other people and thinking what power they have over you or what they'll think is because you don't understand your own power. You don't understand your own choice. I really started to understand something. You gotta understand, I've grown up being terrified of other people, of what they could do to me, what they could think of me if I did not obey and comply with them. If I did not align my beliefs with theirs, what it could mean for me, right? Um, that deemed me powerless, I surrendered my power to them because I would never be comfortable enough to be myself, meaning the life that I'm meant to live, I am surrendering it to people who literally cannot live my life for me. So Royce Reed's fear of this man, she's wasted a good 20 years of her life. And she said how she kept complying with him. She kept going she was afraid of what he would do. Like she said she was supposed to go to Vegas for a contract with like, maybe like a dance residency. She's a professional dancer, not like a stripper, like a professional dancer. And she she said she had to give that up because she couldn't leave Florida or something to that effect. And I literally thought, this was earlier on today, I literally thought, yes, you could. You should have just left. And I know that sounds crazy, right? Because there's so many people that will be like, because she didn't go into all the details of why she couldn't go. But at the same time, she talked a lot about how he had her sign this document with not being able to show her son's face or say her son's last name or say his name ever. And she was on TV, she was on reality TV. So that lets me know that there was probably some kind of custody agreement, and maybe they had to be in the same state, or something crazy, right? Something to that effect. And all I could think was, I wonder what would have happened if she would have just challenged him instead of complying. If she would have just tried if she would have just actually lived her life and actually went out there, what could have happened for her? What I mean is, you don't just let a bully, a narcissist, a manipulator, a controlling person, however you want to see the person, or whatever degree at which they are trying to convince you that you don't have a choice. You don't let them do that. Literally, I've had like 4 or 5 situations in the last few months come up that have made me understand this. That may sound crazy to some people, but I've done stuff where, oh, they could do this or they could try to do that, and I'm like, well, let's see what they do. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do what I need to do. So I just wonder what would have happened in her life if she would have went to Vegas how she wanted to, or whatever other things she wanted to do with her life, if she would have just done them. How he said, "Don't speak on her name." Okay, this is a good example. She said, she had ended up basically signing some paperwork from a lawyer that she trusted, that was her friend. He probably was also friends with Dwight Howard. She signed some paperwork saying she could never say Dwight Howard's name, her son's last name, nothing like that. And he was abusing her and all this stuff, right? And so she could talk about him for years legally. And she followed that. She listened to that. And I guess he had taken her to court a few times, but my thing is, why didn't she just go on one of not the one of the reunions on the show, because VH1 could edit her out. Why don't she just go on live, or go to a news station that would have her, or go to, somebody else that would have her, and discuss him anyway, and tell everything he did. Even if he sued her, she could sue. She could get a lawyer to sue for all the abuse. And he would have to challenge everything she said. But people will have you so scared because you don't. The only reason he had her so scared is because she didn't think she had a choice. So she already agreed with what he said. You can't do this. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to take everything from you, basically. How are you going to? This is my thing. If she speaks out and tells the truth, it renders him powerless. The truth always trumps the lie. You got to understand that. The truth always prevails because it is God's way. It always does. I'm telling you, I really believe this. Because you see now, she only talking now because they signed some new contract which nulled and voided the old contracts. And so legally, she's able to talk about him now. But my thing is, no, you just are brave enough now because of that. Because you could have talked about him, period. You're not going to get thrown in prison for talking about him. You would just you would go to court again. But if you would have been out at him, especially when he was more in the limelight and more popular, there would have been somebody that would have had your back. And even if they didn't, the public embarrassment of people knowing who he is behind closed doors would have frightened him. That's the whole point of him intimidating you into silence, so that you don't expose him to everyone. And his tricks worked. And honestly, that used to be a hard thing for me to understand. People will make you think that if you do what's best for you and you actually invoke your choice in the matter, evoke your choice in the matter, that, they'll make you think that that's the end of you, that you're screwed. You're not screwed. Let me give another example. Um, you know, being in abusive relationships and a man telling you, um, you're nothing without me. No one's ever gonna love you. I'm the only person who will deal with you. The thing about it is, if that, if hearing that makes you do anything other than leave, then you believe them already. You already think that about yourself, and you think you don't have power. You think you don't have a choice already. That's how you were able to be around somebody who wants to take the choice away from you, because you've already rendered yourself powerless in life. So you're only around people who want to perpetuate that belief that you already carry about yourself. And so being around somebody who tells you that about yourself, it's like, wait a minute. Like I've been in such a situation before. And it's like, wait a minute, I have a choice. And at the time, I didn't think so. It, it wasn't it wasn't such a strong thing. It was more of, wait a minute, something is wrong here. I feel like I can't breathe. I feel like I'm losing myself. I got to get out of here. That was how it was. But looking back, it's like, no, they just already knew that I was somebody who was weak, meaning that I didn't realize I had a choice. I didn't realize that my flaws doesn't make me worthless, doesn't make me unlovable, and that I believed the bad things that people said about me, so I was easy to manipulate. And um that if they wanted me to stay around them, they just had to confirm everything I already thought about myself. Well, she already got low self-esteem, so I would just tell her that she's not worth anything. She's just going to want to stay around me to try to please me to change my mind. Now, this is my experience because I'm a recovering people pleaser. So I can't speak from the perspective of somebody who's suffered abuse but they're not a people pleaser. Um but yeah, so people will try to make you think you don't have a choice, or you think you don't have a choice. They see that you don't realize the options that you have, and they take advantage of that. And I'm just learning not to be offended by it, like not to like hate the person for it. Like, how dare you treat me like that? Well, because they are um weak themselves, and it's low hanging fruit, and it was easy. They had the opportunity to do it, so they did. So it's like, can you really be mad at them because you gave them the opportunity to treat you that way, and it was in their character to treat you that way? They don't have the integrity not to do it, so they did. I'm really moving past my inability to forgive people, and to just, this is where this person is. This is their character. How mad can you be at somebody for being who they are? You know what I'm saying? And then I'm coming to a realization of, yo, like, I have a choice in the matter. I don't have to be offended by you. I don't have to care what you think about me, because who are you? You're flawed too. I don't see everything you do every day. So that's why you're able to judge me, because my BS is exposed in the moment, or my naivete, however you say it, is exposed in the moment, or my lack of wisdom in this area or experience, or is exposed in the moment. And so you're capitalizing on it. That's you. But when I see you for what you are willing to do, thank you. Because now It's up to me to decide how to move with you from here on out. So that's what I'm going to do. And it's easier said than done, but to be honest, I really feel like I'm really starting to get it, bro. Like, it's crazy. Like, I have a choice, and I'm not going to let you take my choice. Or nobody can take my choice. I'm not going to allow you, I'm not going to choose to give over my power to you. No, God gave me this power. It's mine. And I'm not giving it to you. You know, people they treat you certain ways. You have a choice to deal with them or not. Don't let, oh, they're family. Don't let that be what stops you from having self-respect and having boundaries. Um and stop you from doing what you're supposed to be doing with your life just because you're related to somebody. No, you don't need to be obligated to people. There needs to be a mutual benefit between you guys. There needs to be something that you both um there needs to be something that is mutual, that is driving and connecting y'all's relationship. It cannot just be blood, because that doesn't matter. That's just what got you into the earth, just got you into the world so that you can pursue a purpose. The connection between y'all, the mutual respect between y'all, that's what makes you family. That's what should draw y'all close together. And that's it. And, I don't know. I could talk for hours on this. I really could. But it's just like, I'm really realizing, like, y'all, we have a choice. We have a choice. I don't have to, um, I don't have to care that people talk about me. I've literally had people at work that I know have said really bad things about me. And at first, when let's say maybe a year ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to be nice to people even when they're mean to me. Um, and I might not even forgive them for real, but I just had the intention of forgiving them. At least we'll just start with, I'm just going to be nice to them. But now I'm feeling myself actually not care, that I know good and well you just been talking about me like a dog. Because I don't, because like I said, I realize I have a choice. That your opinion on me does not matter. You talking about me does not make me any better or worse of a person. And the perspective that you're talking about me from could be from your own insecurity, or just from a snippet of me, or just from a version of me where I was not my best. So it's like, oop, okay, who cares? You know, and I'm really moving into this. Obviously, I still have my moments, but I just feel like it's so possible to begin to love yourself from a perspective of, if God created me for a purpose, I am meant to be here. And when I screw up, when I mess up, when I fall, if God still loves me, then who cares what anybody else thinks or has to say about me? So, and that's what's driving me as I, humble myself to get on a bus, knowing I didn't want to get on a bus again, not have a car again. Um, when I was like, oh my God, this is going to be my year that I really do everything I'm supposed to do. And then I end up, my car, just goes out on me. In the past, that would have truly discouraged me. I mean, really bad. Even last year, that would have, like, I would have been like, okay, I can still do this, but man, this sucks. And I would have been just feeling bad for myself, pissed for at least a good month or two before I my spirits lifted up again. But I'm just like, I'm grown. I got to do what I got to do. Life is not easy. And this is obviously for my good, and this is also repercussions of my actions. Just because you think you're getting away with something that you know you shouldn't do or you know it's not wise does not mean you're getting away with it. Everything you do has a consequence, whether it's immediate or later on. You know, I bought a car without seeking wise counsel, didn't take anybody with me to check the car out, and the car went out, right? But it went out a year and a half later. Still happens. You go to McDonald's, you only supposed to go once in a pay period. You went 5 times. You've been doing this for 2 years. You still been able to make it, and then but this month you went to McDonald's or you ate out too much, and then your brakes went out on your car, or your tires popped on your car, or you just anything like an expense that cost $200 came up and you don't have the money for it. But if you would have just only went to McDonald's once pay period and put the money to the side or just not spent it, you would have had more money in your account, or it would have built up more discipline in your spending and you would have saw improvements over time. But because you didn't take heed, later on down the road something happens. I've had these patterns for years, right? But I'm really starting to be like, yo, I gotta listen. I can't be keep being like, oh, it'll be all right. Oh, I'll deal with that later. Oh, it'll be fine. Cause it won't be fine. I'm tired of getting so many signs that I should change the way I do something or change a habit. And then something bad happens and then I still don't change the habit. So yeah, just come back for my other stuff. And thank y'all for watching. Bye.